Let me tell you something I've learned over the years, something I wish every woman would come to understand early in life. The greatest gift you can give yourself is to know who you are. I'm not talking about the roles you play, mother, daughter, friend, professional. I'm talking about who you are beneath all that. The woman you are when no one's looking. The woman who dreams quietly. The one who knows when something doesn't feel right. The one who's been whispering truths to herself her whole life. That woman, because here's the truth. Self-awareness is your power. And it's not a one-time revelation. It's a daily practice, a habit. Every morning when you wake up, before you check your phone, before you run into the world trying to be everything to everyone, you have to check in with yourself. How am I feeling? What do I need today? Where am I in my spirit? These aren't indulgent questions. These are the questions that put your feet on the right path. When you know yourself, really know yourself, you stop giving your energy away to things that don't serve your growth. You stop saying yes when your soul is screaming no. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop living by someone else's script. You start honoring your own truth. And when you do that, something remarkable happens. Your daily habits begin to reflect the woman you were born to be, not the woman you were told to become. Let me be real with you. There was a time in my life when I thought being busy meant being important. I filled my calendar, filled my plate, filled my life with so much noise that I couldn't hear myself think. And I wondered why I felt tired, unfulfilled, disconnected. It wasn't until I got still, really still, that I realized I was living from the outside in. What I needed was to live from the inside out. That starts with awareness. So many of us were raised to ignore that inner knowing. We were taught to prioritize pleasing over truth, to be polite when we wanted to be powerful, to stay silent when we had wisdom to share. But the more you tune into your inner voice, the more you realize it has always known the way. That's why the first daily habit every woman must master is self-check-in. It might be 2 minutes in the morning with your hand on your heart, a journal entry before bed, a quiet breath in the mirror before you face the world. Whatever your ritual looks like, make it yours and make it daily. Because here's what I know for sure. When you are self-aware, you make better decisions. You attract better people. You trust yourself more. And when you trust yourself, you don't need the world to validate your worth. You know who you are. And there is nothing more powerful, more unshakable, more free than a woman who walks in alignment with herself. Start there, every day. Before you master productivity, before you chase success, before you check another box, start with you. And don't forget everything good flows from that truth. You know, people love to talk about motivation. You hear it all the time, how to get motivated, how to stay motivated, how to find motivation when you've lost it. And I understand that. Motivation feels good. It's like a spark that lights you up, gets you moving, gets you dreaming bigger. But let me tell you something I've learned after walking through every season of life. Motivation is a visitor. It comes and goes. You can't build your life around something that doesn't stay. What you can build your life around is discipline. That quiet, consistent choice to show up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. That's where real growth happens. Not in the big, loud moments of excitement, but in the ordinary ones when you choose your future over your feelings. I remember a time when I thought passion alone would carry me through. And yes, passion is powerful. It will get you started. But it's discipline that keeps you going when the road gets long, when the applause stops, when nobody's watching. Discipline is what whispers, get up anyway. When your bed is warm and your dreams feel far away, discipline is what says, keep writing, keep running, keep learning. When no one's handing you a gold star for it, there is something sacred about doing the work without needing the reward right away. That's when you know you're not chasing a moment. You're building a life. And that life is shaped moment by moment. By the habits you choose every single day. Not once in a while, not when you feel inspired, every single day. So let's talk about what that really looks like. It's easy to do something when it feels good, but can you do it when it feels boring, when it feels uncomfortable, when it feels like nothing is changing? That's where your strength is formed. That's where confidence is built, because confidence doesn't come from what you say you're going to do. It comes from doing it. Keeping your word to yourself over and over again until you no longer doubt your own power. Every woman I've seen rise into her greatness has this one thing in common. She shows up. Not just when it's pretty or perfect, but when it's messy, when it's hard, when it would be easier to quit. She understands that her daily habits aren't just routines, they are promises, and she keeps them. Now, that doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you won't slip or miss a day or get tired. It means you get back up. It means you remember that showing up for yourself is an act of self-respect, and that discipline. That is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. So if you're waiting to feel ready, or waiting for motivation to show up and carry you, let me save you some time. It won't always come. But you can come to the mat, to the page, to the path. You can decide that who you want to become matters more than how you feel in the moment. That's what separates the women who talk about change from the women who create it. Discipline is the daily decision to keep going, and every time you choose it, you become the kind of woman who does hard things. Not because it's easy, but because it's who you are. We live in a world that worships hustle. Everywhere you turn, someone's talking about grinding, chasing, running, doing more, being more, moving faster. There's always something to accomplish, somewhere to be, something to fix. And for a long time, I bought into that. I thought the more I filled my calendar, the more I proved my worth. I thought that if I wasn't busy, I was falling behind. But let me tell you, that belief is a trap. Because what I discovered, what changed my life, is this stillness is not weakness. Stillness is strength. There is a quiet power in being able to pause, to sit with yourself, to breathe, to hear your own thoughts above the noise of the world. Stillness isn't about doing nothing. It's about choosing to be fully present. It's about creating space for your spirit to speak, because your life doesn't just need action. It needs direction. And you only find that direction when you get still enough to listen. I know how hard it can be, especially as women, to claim that space for ourselves. We're so used to caring for others, showing up, giving, solving, fixing. But when was the last time you asked yourself, what do I need in this moment? When was the last time you sat in silence? Not scrolling, not planning, not performing, but just sitting with you. Let me say this to every woman listening. Your peace is not a luxury. Your clarity is not optional. You do not have to earn rest. And you do not have to apologize for needing a moment to breathe. That moment may be the exact thing that saves you from heading down a path that doesn't belong to you. That moment may be where your next big idea is born. That moment may be where your healing begins. Stillness gives you access to wisdom that noise can't reach. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need hours to find it. Sometimes all it takes is 5 minutes with your eyes closed, your feet planted on the floor, and your breath grounding you back to yourself. Sometimes it's a walk without your phone. Sometimes it's staring out the window with a cup of tea. And in that space, letting your world softens. The answers start to come. The clarity returns. You remember who you are. I've learned that stillness is not about escaping life. It's about engaging with it from a deeper place. It's how you anchor yourself when everything else feels like it's spinning. It's how you choose your response instead of reacting out of fear or fatigue. It's how you realign with your purpose so that every step you take comes from intention, not impulse. And let me tell you something I know for sure. You don't have to chase what already belongs to you. You don't have to prove your worth by burning yourself out. You are allowed to move slower. You are allowed to unplug. You are allowed to protect your peace, because when you make space for stillness, you start to hear the voice that matters most, your own. So, no matter how loud the world gets, no matter how long the to-do list is, no matter how many people are pulling on you, make room for stillness. Make it a habit. Make it sacred. Because when you learn how to be still, you learn how to be powerful. You only get one body. One. Not two. Not a spare one waiting in the back in case this one wears out. And yet, for so many women, this body, the very vessel that carries your soul, your dreams, your story, often becomes the last thing you tend to. You pour into everyone else. You show up for jobs, for family, for commitments, for conversations. But when it comes time to show up for your own health, your own energy, your own well-being, somehow you get pushed to the end of the line. But here's the truth I need you to hear. Your body is not an afterthought. It is not separate from your purpose. It is the foundation of everything you do. You want to build a life of power. You want to pursue big dreams, raise families, run companies, speak boldly, love deeply. You need strength for that. You need stamina for that. You need clarity of mind and steadiness of spirit. And all of that begins with how you care for the vessel you live in. Now, I'm not talking about being a certain size. I'm not talking about chasing beauty standards that were never made with you in mind. I'm talking about honoring your health the way you honor your commitments. Because it is a commitment. A daily one. It's about waking up and asking yourself, how do I want to feel in this body today? Not how do I want to look, but how do I want to feel? Do I want to feel energized? Do I want to feel grounded? Do I want to feel pain-free? Do I want to feel awake, alive, ready? That means making choices every day. Not perfect ones, but loving ones. Drinking the water before the coffee. Moving your body not because you hate it, but because you love it enough to keep it strong. Feeding yourself foods that fuel you. Getting rest not just because you're tired, but because rest is productive too. And caring for your mental health just as much as your physical, because stress, shame, and silence weigh heavier than any number on a scale ever could. I know what it's like to run on empty. I know what it's like to push through the fatigue, the headaches, the exhaustion, thinking you're being strong when really you're just burning out. I used to wear that as a badge of honor. I thought it made me unstoppable. But being truly unstoppable requires knowing when to stop, when to listen, when to slow down and nurture the one person who has to be well in order for everything else to work. You. Your health is not selfish, not a side project. It's not something you'll get around to when life settles down. Life doesn't slow down. You have to pause it. You have to claim that time and make your wellness non-negotiable. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup, no matter how deeply you love. You cannot lead from a body that is breaking down. And you cannot live a full life in survival mode. So I want you to remember this every single day. Taking care of your body is taking care of your future. It is not something extra. It is essential. Your energy, your presence, your power, it all starts here. You cannot do your work in the world if you're not well. So eat like you love yourself. Move like you value yourself. Rest like you honor yourself. Because this one body, this beautiful, resilient, irreplaceable body is the only place you get to live. There's this idea out there that if you're not constantly moving, constantly doing, constantly achieving, then you're falling behind. We live in a world that measures success by how full your schedule is, how many hats you wear, how much you can juggle without breaking. We've been taught that the grind is noble, that exhaustion is a badge of honor. But I want to tell you something I learned the hard way. Movement isn't the same as progress, and business isn't the same as purpose. What if I told you that you don't have to hustle your way into worthiness, that you don't have to prove your value by how tired you are at the end of the day, that living with intention, being rooted, present, and clear is more powerful than any rushed accomplishment or checked off to-do list. Because here's the truth, your time is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Every single day, you are making choices, whether consciously or not, about how you spend your life. And those choices, they add up. They shape your habits. They shape your reality. That's why one of the most powerful daily habits a woman can master is learning to live intentionally, not reactively. When you live intentionally, you stop operating on autopilot. You stop waking up and going through the motions. You start asking yourself real questions. Why am I doing this? Does this align with who I want to be? Am I chasing this because it fulfills me or because I think it will impress someone else? Living intentionally means slowing down long enough to choose your actions rather than just responding to life's demands. It means saying no to what doesn't serve your peace. It means not filling every hour just to feel productive. Because productivity without purpose just leads to burnout. And let me tell you, it takes courage to live that way. It takes courage to choose meaning over noise, to stop trying to do it all and instead do what matters most. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind, to keep saying yes to everything, to keep running so you won't fall behind. But at some point, you have to ask, where exactly am I running to? And is it even where I want to go? Every woman I've ever seen create a life that feels rich, not just in things, but in joy, peace, and fulfillment, made one powerful shift. She stopped living by default and started living by design. She got clear on what mattered to her, and she made it a priority every single day. Not once a year on a vision board, not once a week in a planner, every day. With every choice, in the way she spends her mornings, in the way she responds to emails, in how she shows up in her relationships, in how she chooses rest, in how she chooses work. You don't need to do more, you need to do what matters. You don't need to be everything, you need to be you fully. And when you start honoring your life like that, everything begins to shift. You become less reactive and more centered, less scattered, more focused. You stop letting the world set your pace and start dancing to your own rhythm. And let me remind you, the woman who lives on purpose doesn't need to prove anything. Her presence speaks for itself. There comes a moment in every woman's journey when she realizes that all the work she's been doing on herself, all the habits, the healing, the growth, is not just for her. Yes, it begins with you. It must begin with you. You build the habits, you take care of your body, you cultivate your discipline, your peace, your clarity. But at some point, you realize that your transformation becomes someone else's inspiration, that your breakthrough becomes someone else's permission, that your rise lifts it's more than just your own life. It starts to shift everything around you. Because a woman who is grounded, who is intentional, who knows herself and honors her well-being, becomes a living example. She becomes a lighthouse. Not because she's perfect, not because she has it all figured out, but because she chooses to show up differently every day. That choice has power, and it spreads. I want you to think about this. Every time you choose to speak kindly to yourself, you show another woman it's okay to do the same. Every time you set a boundary, you give someone else the courage to protect their peace. Every time you rest without guilt, or walk away from what no longer serves you, or chase a dream that scares you, you are not just changing your life. You are creating a ripple that touches everyone connected to you. And I know sometimes it feels like no one's watching. You think the small things don't matter. You think the way you journal, the way you move through your day, the quiet ways you're healing, go unnoticed. But I promise you, they don't. Someone is always watching. A daughter, a friend, a colleague, a stranger. And you never know whose life you're impacting just by choosing to live yours with purpose. The truth is, the habits you master aren't just for survival, they're for legacy. You are building something far bigger than a routine. You're building a foundation for generations. You are showing what is possible when a woman decides to reclaim her power and live her life on her own terms. That kind of example, that's a revolution in motion. I've seen women rise up and transform their lives in quiet, consistent ways. One decision, one habit, one mindset shift at a time. And when they do, something even more powerful happens. They turn around and lift someone else. They share the tools. They share the truth. They become mirrors for others to see themselves in. That's the real beauty of this journey. It doesn't end with you. It expands through you. So I want to say this: don't wait until everything is perfect before you begin to lift someone else. You don't have to be at the finish line to extend a hand. You don't need a platform to make an impact. Just live your truth. Just be authentic. Just walk in integrity, because that energy is felt. That courage is contagious. We are not here to do this alone. We rise by rising, yes, but we also rise by lifting. We heal, and then we help. We grow, and then we give. That is how we build a world where women don't just survive, they thrive. So as you master your daily habits, one by one, remember, you are not just doing this for you. You are doing it for every woman watching, every girl learning, and every soul waiting to believe that it's possible.